What if the thing you bought could change your life and your fate? On a quiet street hidden in the shadows of the city, Lucas stumbled upon an old, dimly lit shop. The sign was faded, barely legible, and the window was covered in dust. The place was unlike anything he had ever seen. As he entered, a musty smell filled his nostrils. Strange trinkets and oddities lined the shelves, their eyes seemingly watching him. The store owner, an elderly man with pale skin and an unsettling gaze, greeted him with a quiet smile. "Find something special?" he asked, voice raspy, like he'd been waiting for Lucas. Lucas's eyes landed on a doll, porcelain, old but oddly beautiful. Its cold glass eyes seemed to follow him. The store owner's voice interrupted his trance. "It's a unique piece," he murmured, "but be careful. This doll is not just a doll." The warning only piqued Lucas's curiosity, and despite the unease that began to crawl up his spine, he purchased the doll. The oddity of the store, the peculiar items, and the strange man made him feel like he had stumbled onto something far beyond the ordinary, something forbidden. As he walked home, the doll in his bag, a faint whisper brushed his ears. "Take me back. Take me back to my previous owner." He froze, looking around, but no one was there. The street seemed emptier than usual. A sudden chill washed over him. Is your mind playing tricks on you, or is something more sinister happening? That night, as Lucas lay in bed, the whispers returned. Soft, barely audible murmurs filled the room. His heart raced as he slowly turned toward the source. The doll, which he had placed on the shelf, was now sitting on his nightstand. Its eyes glowed faintly in the dark, almost as if alive. Lucas blinked, convinced it was his mind playing tricks on him. But when the whispers came again, louder and more insistent, he knew he wasn't imagining it. "Take me back. I cannot rest," the voice hissed from the doll. His breath caught in his throat. Was this real? He was in a state of shock, his fingers trembling as he tried to brush the doll aside. Suddenly, he heard a soft thud, like something had fallen in the other room. Terrified, he gathered his courage and walked cautiously toward the sound, expecting the worst. To his horror, the doll was gone. His heart pounded in his chest as he turned around, feeling the hair on the back of his neck stand up. As Lucas turned back to his bed, the doll was there again, sitting upright, its glassy eyes locked on him. And then, the door to his apartment slammed shut. His pulse quickened as he desperately tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. The line between reality and nightmare is thinner than you think. Lucas's nights became more torturous. Every time he tried to sleep, the whispers from the doll echoed in his mind. "Return me. I cannot rest." It was as if the doll was speaking to him directly. He tried everything, locking it in the closet, covering its eyes, even throwing it in the trash, but nothing worked. Each morning, it returned to the same spot, waiting. The doll wasn't just a toy. It was a vessel, an object that carried something, someone. The realization hit him like a cold wave. Desperation seeped into his veins as he researched the shop and the strange items it sold. People who had disappeared without a trace all had one thing in common: a connection to this cursed store. Lucas couldn't shake the feeling that the doll was part of something much larger, something far darker. It wasn't just a trinket, it was a key to something terrifying. The more he delved into its origins, the more his mind began to unravel. One night, after returning from his research, he noticed the doll wasn't on the shelf. Instead, a small, folded note rested on his pillow. It read, "I'm waiting for you. Don't make me wait forever." He could feel the weight of the message in his gut, the air thick with an ominous presence. His hands shook as he picked it up. Sometimes, the past isn't gone. It follows you. Lucas's obsession grew. He had to find out more. He returned to the shop, hoping to uncover answers. The store owner was there, as if he had been expecting him. "You've noticed, haven't you?" the old man said, his eyes gleaming with something dark and knowing. "That doll was never meant for you, it's cursed. It carries the souls of those who once owned it. Lucas's heart pounded in his chest. He had known on some level that something was off about the doll. The whispers, the movement, the relentless feeling of being watched. It was all too much to ignore. The shop owner explained that the doll had been passed down through generations, always bringing misfortune to its owners, its last resting place never being final. Lucas's desire to break free from the curse grew stronger, but the man's next words chilled him to the core. The curse is already inside you. Determined to find a way to end it, Lucas's mind raced with possibilities, but the feeling of the doll's gaze never left him. It was a trap, and now he was part of it. As Lucas left the store, he noticed a woman's figure standing across the street watching him. She was beautiful, but her eyes were empty, hollow, just like the doll's. She stepped forward, and Lucas's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't just a stranger. She looked exactly like the woman in the old photograph from the shop. The truth is always more terrifying than the lie you tell yourself. The woman, with her empty, lifeless gaze, followed Lucas home. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Lucas could feel the weight of her presence, the connection to the doll, to the curse. When he entered his apartment, she stood at the door, watching him with a cold, unwavering stare. Lucas felt his pulse race as her eyes locked with his, and for a moment, it was as though the room itself became suffocating. Suddenly, the doll moved. Its head turned toward her, its mouth opening as if to speak, but no words came. The woman slowly approached the doll, her hands trembling. "No, I didn't want this," she whispered, almost to herself. The doll's eyes glowed brighter, and the room became freezing cold. Lucas was paralyzed with fear, unable to move. The woman reached for the doll, and as her fingers brushed its porcelain surface, a loud crack echoed through the apartment, the sound of something breaking deep within the doll. The doll's eyes snapped open wide and frantic. The woman screamed, and Lucas's world went black. The last thing he heard was the eerie whisper of the doll, louder than ever before. "I'm back. Escape is an illusion. The only way out is to face what you fear." Lucas awoke in a dark, unfamiliar room. His body felt heavy, his mind foggy. As he stood, he realized something horrifying. He wasn't alone. The woman, the doll, and the old man from the shop were all there. Their eyes followed him, unblinking. It wasn't just the doll. The curse had spread to them, and now it was claiming him. He tried to move, but his body felt like lead, his every muscle stiff and unresponsive. "You can't escape," the old man said, his voice echoing through the room. "The curse is a cycle, and now you are part of it. Every soul it claims becomes a part of the story. Forever." Lucas's heart raced as he looked around. The walls seemed to close in on him. There was no escape. The room twisted, distorting, and the doll's eyes gleamed with malevolent satisfaction. As Lucas took his final breath, he realized he had become a part of the curse, and the cycle would continue. The doll's eyes turned toward him, and for a brief moment, Lucas felt a cold hand on his shoulder. He turned, but no one was there. The whispers returned, louder, more desperate. Return me to my last owner." As the darkness closed in on Lucas, the realization hit him. There was no escape. The curse of the doll was far more than he had ever imagined, and now he was trapped within it. The cycle was endless, and he had become a part of the twisted story just like those before him. But what terrified him most wasn't the doll or the whispers in the night. It was the unsettling thought that someone else, somewhere, was about to stumble into the same cursed path, just as he had. As the room twisted, the doll's eyes locked onto his one final time. The whispers grew louder, a chorus of voices he couldn't escape. "Return me," they cried. But it was too late. Lucas's world faded, and with it, the haunting story continued, waiting for its next victim. And as you sit here, reading this, ask yourself, are you truly safe? Or have you too been lured into the grip of the curse? The doll is waiting. Don't forget to leave your comments below. What do you think about the curse of the doll? If you loved this eerie tale, make sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. And remember, always be careful what you buy.